On with me tonight, a fascinating dude, Frank Conniff. He's a comedian, comedy writer, actor, performer. I'll do the quick roll of all of his, not all, half of his stuff. Mystery Science Theater 3000. He was TV's Frank there. Sabrina Teenage Witch, The Drew Carey Show, The New Tom Green Show on Air America Radio back in the day. He wrote for Rachel Maddow, Mark Maron, Liz Winstead, Al Franken, Janine Garofalo. You get the picture. Viewpoint with people saying on current TV. Should I keep going? One last one. Totally biased with Camus Bell on the FXX network. All right, Frank. Oh, and I forgot, and a well-noted show. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Centrist, dirtbag, you name it. Okay. So Frank, let me start with this. Did you think you were banned from this network?
No, actually, I didn't think that, which is weird because I'm so prone to resentments about things, but I didn't think that. I know that when I moved away from LA, which was in 2012, that was kind of the end of my run of doing the Young Turks because I used to be able to come into your studio, and I actually, right before I left for New York, and I left for New York because John Fugelsang hired me to work on his show on Current TV in New York. And I remember you asking me, I was at the studio and you invited me to be part of your 2012 election night coverage, which I was very touched by and very honored by, and I wasn't able to do it because I had to come to New York, so.
All right, good. Because I heard a rumor that you thought we weren't having you on, and here you are. So
yeah, I have been telling people that that I've been completely washed up in the world of left-wing podcasts because I used to do a lot of them, and now I'm not on any of them. But
yeah, well, that part's probably true. So let's talk about that. I'm kidding, but all right. So Frank. So when did you become a shill for centrists?
I don't know if I became I've been a loyal Democrat for all of my life. My father ran as a Democrat for Congress in 1964, and my grandmother served in the Connecticut state legislature in the late 40s, early 50s as a Democrat. I was brought up as a Democrat in the JFK era, so I've always had that kind of loyalty. I don't know if I'm a centrist. I do run a Walter Mondale fan site, but that's on the dark web, so we won't get into that.
And you know what? It's not even on the intellectual dark web.
So no, that I tried to get on the intellectual dark web, but Barry Weiss just put her foot down and said I wasn't allowed there.
Yeah, no. If your IQ's above 70, you're not allowed on the intellectual dark web. It's ironic. It's having fun. Okay. So, anyways,
but I think I'll just add to that I think in 2016, when in the primaries. At the time I was on John Fugelsang's Sirius XM show, and I was a very vocal Hillary Clinton supporter in the primaries, and most of the people around me were Bernie Sanders supporters. So that might have kind of set that up. John Fugelsang, whenever on the show, whenever I would talk about my support for Hillary, he would tell people that I was obsessed with Hillary and that I dressed in pantsuits, which was not true. I wore the pantsuits because they felt sensual against my skin. It had nothing to do with my Hillary Clinton support.
Okay, well that seems very fair, and as a progressive, obviously I'm in favor of that.
Right.
Your centrist friends might have issues with it, but not us. So. Who were you for? I have to confess, I lost track in the 2020 primary.
In the 2020 primary, I was Elizabeth Warren, and I think Bernie and Kamala were. Joe Biden was about 4th or 5th in my of people I supported. But then once he won, and then I became a very enthusiastic supporter of him in the general election.
Yeah. Well, so speaking as so Frank, as it turns out, apparently I became a shill after you did.
Yeah.
So there's like a bit of a timeline here.
I was hoping you'd come over to the shill side, as they say in Star Wars.
Yeah,
feel the shill. Use the shill, Cenk.
Well, look, once I saw Joe Biden, the general, I felt a shill up my leg.
Yes, exactly.
As Chris Matthews would say. Yeah, no, all sane people supported Joe Biden over Donald Trump in 2020. I know there's some that think they're on the left and thought that that was a tough question, but it was not remotely a tough question if you're actually on the left.
No, and also I think that Joe Biden is a very traditional kind of politician, and I think he has values and principles, but I think he's very much a politician, and he very much like puts his finger in the wind and sees the way the wind is blowing. And I think at this point there's a big part of him now that feels that being progressive is the way the wind is blowing, and I think his platform and the things he's trying to do is reflecting that, and that's the part that you play and that commentators play and voters play, is by making progressivism politically expedient, or something that someone who's very involved in politics, who wants to succeed in politics, that's the part that I think that we play in that, and I think that there's been some good results from that lately.
Frank, you don't know how right you are. The Secret Service code name given to President Biden is the Wind Whisperer.
Yes.
So he's got that wind figured out. No, but in all seriousness, you're 100% right. Joe Biden is a classic politician.
Yes.
So, and what classic politicians do is they put their finger to the wind. And in all seriousness, us progressives, we are the wind.
Yes, and we're the ones that meant that, if there's any kind, and there has been a lot of very progressive initiatives in his initial presidency, and I think it comes from all of the progressives out there, because I think, like I said, I think he has principles and stuff, but I think he wants to succeed, he wants to win, and that's the part that progressive people like yourself are playing in that whole thing.
Yeah. My code name, Wind Pusher. I don't know. All right, Windbreaker.
Windbreaker. That was mine, actually.
Okay. Anyway, so Frank, so you obviously do a lot of politics. You wrote for some of the folks on Air America, and that's why we're talking about this. And then there was a little bit of a rift between the progressive camp and the more, well, let's say party loyalist, right? And you explained why you're a party loyalist, and there's good reason for that. But you also said that you went Warren #1 and Bernie #2 in 2020. That's interesting, given that you supported Hillary over Bernie in 2016. So what happened in those 4 years to make you tilt a little bit more left?
Well, I just, if Warren had been a candidate in 2016, I would have been totally on board with her. I'm a big fan of hers, and I find her a very inspiring figure. And I like Bernie a lot too, but Warren is someone that just really appealed to me, and so I supported her in 2020, and I would have in 2016 as well.
So, is there any progressive policies that you think are a bridge too far? Medicare for all, Green New Deal, anything along those lines?
No, not at all. I would love for there to be Medicare for all. What I'm hoping is that we're on a road towards that. I would love for it to happen tomorrow. That's not how it works in politics. But I think progressive people are pushing in that direction, and we're getting. I don't know if things are going to get great, but it feels like they're going to get better. And after what we've been through, things getting better seems like a pretty good thing,
Right. So Frank, what's your take on I think you correctly assessed the Biden administration, and the right wing will push furiously from the right. And so, well, that puts progressives in a position, I think that they probably would have been in anyway, but that means we got to push from the left.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so, but people say theoretically that makes sense, right? But when you actually push the guy, whether it's Biden or Pelosi or Schumer, then people get very uncomfortable, right? So, what's your take on how to thread that needle?
I think it's okay to make them uncomfortable. I think it's okay to push things forward. I think it's as a Joe Biden supporter, I think at this moment in history, it's much more important to be critical of Joe Biden than it is of policies of his that you don't like, that you don't think go far enough. I think it's more critical to point that out than to keep talking about how awful Trump is, which we've been talking about forever. It's more important to hold the people that we have hopes for, to hold their feet to the fire and push them in the direction that we hope they'll go in. And they might get uncomfortable, but that's fine,
100%. I look, it turns out we agree on so many things. Well, shills in a pot and all that stuff. All right, Frank Conniff, thank you for joining us again.
Oh, it's so great to see you again, Cenk. Thank you so much.
No problem. See you soon.
Take care.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.